This episode of the QA is brought to you by Lucky Shot. It is the end of the month, which means it is time for the QA. My name is Dave from Guns and Tactics. Thank you guys very much for spending a few minutes of your day, and hopefully you are having a beautiful fall day like I am. And I just had to film this one outside because I feel like this is probably one of the last ones where I can get away with wearing flip-flops and shorts. If you want to see your question get on the QA, the best way is to email us. The email address is shown below. That is the QA@gunsandtactics.com. At the end of the month, we answer your questions, plus we give away a prize thanks to our sponsor, Lucky Shot, which Lucky Shot does make some really cool glassware, which, speaking of which, I need to make an order for more like a pint glass, because my beverage of choice today is the Sprecher Vanilla Root Beer, which is a craft soda made in Wisconsin. And I have to say, this is a pretty solid root beer. It's definitely not a cream soda. You know, like when I first bought it, I thought it'd be more like a cream soda, but it is kind of more like a 1919 soda. So it's definitely a root beer with kind of that nice hint and tone of vanilla. It's pretty good. It's probably in my top 3 for root beers. So if you're looking for a good root beer, Sprecher, and I know around my area, Menards and Fleet Farm carry the Sprecher line of sodas. So first things first, we need to give away our grand prize from the 50th episode of the QA, which was the Noise Fighters panel bridge in the limited edition Coyote. And we did have several people who commented in last month's video. All you had to do was comment Noise Fighters down below. So our random number generator gives us number 6, which I know it's super tough to see on screen. You probably can't see that at all, but it is number 6, which is Don. So Don, if you're watching this, go ahead and send us an email. We need to get your shipping information, and I need to get that Noise Fighters out to you. Make sure you like Noise Fighters. Check them out online. Follow them on social media. Neil is an amazing guy. He makes some amazing products. Super love the stuff. And if you haven't checked out the Noise Fighters panel bridge review, you can check it out up there, which again, super cool. Love night vision. It's literally like buying a superpower, and then the panel bridge makes it even better. So thank you to Noise Fighters for supplying the grand prize for the 50th episode, and congratulations to Don for winning that. This month's winner will receive a prize from Lucky Shot, which is also awesome. All right, so this question, first number 1, let's just get right to it, I guess, is from John via YouTube comment. Do you consider the use of a handgun rest a good idea for red dot zeroing for best accuracy, or is that considered cheating? Most indoor ranges do not allow the use of a rest for safety, so it may not be, or it may have been a smart, conscious decision. I've seen too much equipment damage at local ranges when people use that. So he's referring to my how to zero a handgun video, and I just did an updated version. Now I did a version of this, I don't know, probably 4 years ago that kind of covered some older optics, and that, kind of video ran its course. It's a dated video. It's still out there if you search for it, but I just did one last week, and I'll put a card up there on YouTube. Otherwise, you can search on the webpage for how to zero an RDS handgun, and that's where I'm using the staccato, and I do 10 yards. Now, I prefer to do it offhand. My personal preference is just offhand because, number 1, it kind of allows me to really make sure that I'm concentrating on my fundamentals and I'm shooting the best that I can to try to hit that 1-inch square at 10 yards. Again, that's my standard. And there are some times when I'm doing it where it's less than that and all the rounds are in, one nice little cluster, Sometimes the stars are more aligned than others. And then even in the video, I shot one group where it would kind of open up a little bit, adjusted the dot brightness, really kind of focused, and I was able to make a better group. So it really focuses on me to do the best I can fundamentally, which I like. Number 2, most of the places that I go to don't have a bench or a rest. Oftentimes I'm just driving out to property, setting up my kind of training area, so I don't have the ability to do that. And then number 3, I also don't have to bring a bag or some sort of a support sock or something like that. So again, it's just less things. Oftentimes people say, the dot, is requiring more and more stuff, and I don't want it to require more stuff. I just want to be able to throw up a target, shoot offhand, and get that zero again, which is why I also prefer 10-yard zero, because most people can still make a good group at 10 yards. And I do think the topic of 10 versus 15 versus 25-yard zero does have its place. But literally for me, I've done the ballistic calculations, and I'm not a good enough shooter to hold 1-inch offset at 25 yards, which according to the ballistic math on my particular gun, using my duty load, this was based off a Glock 17, I have to update it on the staccato, but when I chronographed the duty load, measured the sight over bore, barrel twist, all that stuff into the ballistic calculator, my offset at 25 yards was 0.9 inches. And I'm not a good enough handgun shooter to notice a 0.9 inch offset or hold. And then I believe on that particular load, my hold at 100 yards was 4.7 or 4.9 inches. Again, having the hold a little high, which again, at 100 yards, offhand, I can't hold 5-inch groups. I mean, I try to hit an 8-inch plate at 100 yards or an AC size steel at 100 yards, but again, that's just more of a fundamentals drill. So I do think it deserves some of that. So that's my thing. I like to do it offhand. It's ease of logistics, ease of equipment. And then again, it focuses on me to try to do better. Also, he had a follow-up, any update on the 509. The Holosun 509, I did a first look video. You can check it out up there as well, or you can search on the webpage depending on what platform you're watching. I absolutely love the 509. I think it's probably one of the best duty grade red dots out there. If you're looking for a closed emitter, in my opinion, it's my favorite closed emitter. I like it more than the Acro. There is a new closed emitter coming out soon that I need to follow up with them and get a sample coming that will use an Acro footprint. So if you have a gun that's milled for an Acro or have Acro plates, it will use, what I'm told, the Acro mounting system. But the 509 closed emitter, I absolutely love for inside the waistband daily carry, because they get cruddy, they get full of gunk, they get full of lint and all sorts of other stuff, and having that closed emitter to be able to wipe off just makes it easy. Additionally, I've taught a few classes over the summer, and we've had inclement weather at a couple of them, rain, you know, things like that, and the closed emitter optics definitely shine in the rain and the inclement weather. Now, is it a deal breaker with an open emitter? Absolutely not. But as far as snow, rain, things like that, closed emitter does have an advantage. And I think the argument can be made that a closed emitter system is probably a little bit better for duty. However, there's really good open emitter systems, the 508 from Holosun, the RMR, the SRO. Those are probably my 3 favorite open emitter optics for a variety of reasons. But again, when you look at the 509, you have the solar panel battery backup, you have the multi-reticle, which is awesome for night vision shooting, closed emitter, solid lockup system, side mounting battery. It's just a sweet optic, and the price that you can get them for right now is just crazy. So I have one on my daily carry Glock 19, and that's, I don't have it on me right now, it's in the house, but I absolutely love that package. So I got to finish up the review. And then I think you also asked any issue on the blue tint. I don't really see it. I just focus on my target and drive on. All right, Kevin, question number 2 through whatever, you get entered once into the prize. We don't have a ton of people asking questions this month, but 2 is going to be from Kevin, and you asked a few questions. So again, Kevin, thank you very much for sending in some questions for us to go over. For weapon mounted lights, lithium ion or single use batteries, pros and cons. Most of the modern lights now are going to require a rechargeable lithium ion to get that output. They have the higher amperage and the output level needed. Looking at the new mod lights, clouds, Arisakas, etc. Those are my favorite for rifle lights. And then for handgun lights, I'm trying out the new mod light, and I'm jury's still out on it. I know a few people who are having issues with it actually, and I think it's then kind of hard to argue with the old Surefire X300 or the Streamlight TLR1 HL. Those are both good lights, and truth be told, I've had less Streamlights have to go back than Surefires. Most, I don't know what it is with me and Surefire stuff, but most Surefire stuff that I buy, it's almost like a 50-50 if I'm gonna have to send it back for warranty. I have a handheld light that I gotta send back for warranty. I've had rifle lights, I've had X300s, whatever. But knock on wood, Streamlight stuff, I don't think I've had to send a single Streamlight thing back, which is kind of crazy. But so I'm checking out that. Obviously with lithium ion, you need to carry a spare, have it charged up with you. So if you're in the field or whatever, and you have the opportunity to swap it out, you can. Nice thing with single-use batteries is you can keep some spares in your bag or in your duty bag or whatever and swap them out as needed and then dispose of it. So pros and cons, but if you're gonna want that higher output, higher throw, you're gonna need to eventually adopt that lithium ion. Now, the other con is that for the average officer, I would say it is a con because they're not very good at taking care of their gear, and then having to get into a charging regimen of like, are they going to remember about every month or so to take that battery out, top it off, put it back in, versus with disposables. So definitely a pros and cons weight that you'd have to make there. Kind of your more in tune people might be able to get by with it. But for me with in-service training, every now and again, I'll have somebody come up, hey, my aim point's dead. Well, when's the last time you checked the battery? Yeah, I don't know. So, and that kind of thing could happen. And I think it's pretty important if you were out on a stop or a contact or something like that and you go to activate that weapon mounted light and then boom, battery's dead. All right, cat crap or Rain-X. I'm still using cat crap. I've heard good things about Rain-X. I've tried it on some other stuff, but I just have a little jar of cat crap that I keep in the range bag, and that's just what I use. I've heard some of the ceramic stuff was working good too, but any type of anti-fogging, I don't know. I like the cat crap. It works for me. I'll probably switch over to some Rain-X once the little jar of cat crap runs out. But the little jar of cat crap should last you a long, long time. The only reason why I have to buy more cat crap is because the little jar walks away at ranges. I can't tell you how many classes I've been at where it's like, hey, who has the cat crap? And it slipped into somebody's pocket inadvertently. So it is what it is. What optic mount works good for occasional helmet use? Most people don't wear helmets full time. The units do. The chin strap can get in the way, etc. So assuming we're talking rifle optic mounts, again, it's going to kind of be a personal preference. Generally speaking, for red dots, my personal go-to is about that 1.7. You can get night vision height 1.9. I actually just got some of the new Arasaka micro red dot mounts in that are super slick. So I'm going to be doing a first look video on those, but those are really nice. Now for LPVO, generally most of mine are around, I think it's like 1.5 is the standard, but I'm going to be trying some of the higher 1.70s and 1.93s just to kind of swap some stuff out and try some stuff out. But you can make it work. It's just a matter of what type of helmet. You have ear pro, you have high cut, low cut. You're just going to have to kind of fight through some of those things. But I would say if I had to only pick one, it would probably be 1.7 high if I had to pick. AR safety, this was kind of a big one, so I'm going to kind of summarize it because I think it's actually a good idea to talk about AR safety manipulation. I'm a firm believer on AR safety manipulation. So, for example, even when I teach reloads with a patrol rifle, safety on. Anytime the gun comes off target, safety's on, and once with good training, it's very intuitive and it's very streamlined in your process. One of the comments was, how do you deal with the damage of competition shooters who turn it off as soon as they're coming up versus the decision to shoot? Well, and I think the counterpoint to that though would be that competition shooter, he's already made the decision to shoot. So when he's coming up, or she, when they are coming up, they've already made the decision to shoot. They know their target. They know what's beyond it because they are in a stage. So for them, compressing, coming off safe as they're coming up, compressing, finger prepping. So by the time, as soon as those sights come up on target and are arrested, they can press the trigger. I don't think that's a training scar. I think they've already made that decision. Likewise, if I was in a low ready position and I made a decision to engage a threat, safety's coming off as I'm coming up because as soon as those sights come up and rest, I want to press the trigger. I've made the decision to fire. Now, in a different context, if you haven't quite made the decision to fire, then yes, the safety should still be in the safe position. I 100% agree with that. But the competition shooter, they've already made the decision to fire. So I think that's their context difference. But do I think safety training is something that should always be reinforced? Absolutely. And I will say this, competition shooters generally are way better at that than cops, armed citizens, even some military personnel that I've had come through classes. Competition shooters are really good at it because they know they go to certain matches and they're moving and they don't turn that safety on finger high, they get DQ'd, and that sucks for them. That sends them to a 0 for the stage, or depending on the match, they might even have to lose a day or go home or whatever. So competition shooters are generally really switched on when it comes to that safety manipulation because they practice it all the time. So those are the guys that I'm generally least worried about. A solid competition shooter generally knows how to handle and manipulate their gun far better than the average cop, average armed citizen. I've had some cops come through classes when they do mag changes, don't manipulate their safety, they're like, this is my safety. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Sorry. There's no drop safety. There's no snag safety. There's a lot of issues going on with the rifle safety that's different from a striker fired handgun, for example, because that's usually immediately what they compare it to. And there are differences. Again, as soon as that rifle comes off target, safety should be on. And yes, I'm all about using ergonomic upgrades. The short throw safeties have their place. I like those. Forward controls, I just can't say enough good things. Every product I've received from Forward Controls I've been really happy with. So they make really good stuff. I actually just got an order for them for some other stuff, and I'm waiting for some of their other parts to come in stock. But that's what I would look for safety stuff. They make just great stuff. Last safety is psychological reinforcements, just good training. When I do fundamental level classes, we really harp on that. Safety on, finger high, safety on, finger high. Those kind of things. Reinforce the ready position with a grip on the safety. So that way when they're transitioning from ready to on target, they go ahead and disable that. So there's definitely a difference of proper training. So maybe we can do another video where we get into more detail. All right, Kevin, your last question is regarding this fashion trend for false double feeds. We've talked about this before and I do need to make a video on it. Basically, Kevin's position is you need to lock the slide back in order to pull the mag to clear a double feed, or more commonly a fail to extract, especially with single stack guns, concealed carry guns, etc. And this is something that is important that you need to practice with your own gun. Simulate a fail to extract, which is what the more common thing is. True double feeds are just very rare. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a true double feed where we had a live round in the chamber and another live round trying to go in there. And if we do, it's usually a magazine issue, so that's usually solvable. But more commonly, it's a fail to extract. So there's an empty case in the chamber and then a live round trying to go into that. So there is a technique, particularly with Glocks, where you pull the base pad, pulling the mag, the slide will go forward, recapturing that empty one, reinsert the mag, rack, and move on. It's very fast, it's very efficient. The argument can be made though, will it always work? Or is there too much pressure if the stripper clip on the slide is putting too much pressure on the magazine, and if you had a full mag with spring tension, are you going to be truly able to clear that stoppage? Again, you have to practice that. On the staccato, for example, when I've practiced it and tried it out, if I don't pull the mag completely out, what happens is because that round is forward on the feed ramp, when I partially pull it, that round pops out of the magazine, and then if I don't fully remove the mag, if I just do a partial pull and I try to insert, it won't let me seat that mag because now there's an extra round floating around there. So with the staccato, for example, if I tried that technique, I have to grab fully and remove the magazine fully from the grip, allowing that round to fall, then reinsert, rack, and move on. And again, those are things to practice. From my best practices standpoint, if you're fluid with locking the slide back, stripping, going from there, great, drive on. But keep in mind, in order for you to lock the slide back to the rear, then we also have to figure out, okay, now I remove the mag, do I have to stow it? Do I have to rack it to remove that empty? So there is a little bit more to it. Like I said, I want to make a separate video kind of focusing on this. I think you've asked the same question, and I will make a video, I promise, going over fail to extracts, because I think it's a good topic. And honestly, I think the technique, depending on the right pistols, can still be viable without having to lock the rack, without having to lock the slide back all the time on the right pistol, so long as you practice and you know extended base pads, mag wells, all those things need to be evaluated to give you an advantage. Can you clear that stoppage all the time with your chosen technique? And again, pros and cons to both. Let's give a quick shout out to Lucky Shot. Check out Lucky Shot. They have a variety of really cool glassware and giftware for the shooting enthusiast in your life, or maybe you just want a nice gift for yourself. Their signature glassware with the projectiles is definitely a conversation piece, but they have much more cool stuff than that. Check out their webpage and use the coupon code shown on the screen to save yourself a little bit of money for your next order. Whether, again, it's somebody that you love, somebody just want to get a just because gift for yourself or somebody else, why not save a little bit of money as well at the same time? We thank Lucky Shot for their support of the QA and providing the prize for this month's winner. Again, check out their webpage, LuckyShotUSA.com, for more information. Thanks to Lucky Shot. All right, let's get back to the questions. This next one is from Bruce. What is your go-to outside the waistband holster? I have different guns and would like the same holster for all. Well, here's the cool thing. I would check out the Safariland GLS. I believe the model number is the 578, but it's their grip lock system. I actually have one in the shop somewhere. But what's nice about that is that it actually locks on the trigger guard, and it's kind of universal. They have a different insert for thin trigger guards, thick trigger guards, but that one holster will fit a wide variety of guns without a weapon-mounted light. So if you're looking to have literally a holster that can take a Smith & Wesson M&P, a Glock, an XD, a 1911, a CZ, whatever, that GLS system can work, and you have to have one holster. Now, Blackhawk also has their, I believe it's called the Omnivore, and that secures on a light, and I believe they do have a Surefire version of that now. So that secures on the light, so basically any gun that has that light on it, you can lock it on that. And their new T-Series, their Duty Series, is kind of more focused on retaining on the light. Now, the T-Series is still specific to guns, but what I have found is that the staccato fits in the Glock, not quite vice versa, but it does give you a little bit of range, allowance, if you will, if you wanted to have more of a duty style holster. But check out the Safariland, the Blackhawk Omnivore. I'm hearing good things about it. I haven't personally had one, but I think Blackhawk has really stepped up their game since the old Serpa days as far as holsters go. But that Safariland GLS is a great holster. Otherwise, generally training gear, you can get Kydex rigs. I'm just got a new holster called the Contour from Tolster. They're going to be launching early October, so I'll have a first look video out on that. And that's just kind of a basic no frills Kydex outside the waistband holster for guns without a weapon mounted light. What you doing? Come here. This is Zen, and she's out running around, but come here. Like I said, it's a nice day. Even the dogs want to be outside, so yeah, I know. I'll play with you in a little bit. All right, last question is from Kenneth, and it kind of talks about what we talked about before. What distance should I zero my handgun RDSY? This actually came in before I made last week's video. So hopefully last week's video was kind of a good primer, and then we'll have more of a detailed video, and we kind of talked a little bit about it before, kind of going over some of the whys. I prefer the 10-yard zero, which again, just for me works. But if you guys have any questions about that particular topic, it doesn't have to be zeroing. It could just be whatever red dot related. Let me know. I don't have my critter getter, but there's another chipmunk over there too. So just the way it goes. That's going to do it this month for all of the questions that made it to the show. Again, if you want to see your question on the show, if you leave a comment section below, try to make sure you put a question mark in there. Believe it or not, there's a filter that we can use to search for like questions. Otherwise, the best way is to email us. Email address is shown on the screen, theqa@gunsandtactics.com. And that is the best way, and I try my best to actually make sure I get all the questions. Every now and again, I do forget, and I am still working on shipping out prizes and stuff too, so make sure you follow up with me on that as well. But let's go ahead and give away our prize. Random number generator is going to be number 2, which is Kevin. So Kevin, we'll be in touch with you to figure out a prize from Lucky Shot for you. Guys, thank you very much again. Send those questions in. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. We work really hard to make content that we hope you as a shooter would enjoy. Subscribe to our channel, check out our featured videos and playlists, and if you have a question firearms related, go ahead and send an email to the address shown on the screen to be entered into our monthly QA series.